Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer. Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of July 2025. Oh, I forgot for a second there. Happy incoming birthday season to you. I hope you're well. I'm using the Night Sun Tarot for you today. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's via one of the links in the description box below. You can either select the one that takes you to Selfie, or alternatively you can come join the community over on Circle. There you can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost beyond the membership fee. Hang out with an extraordinary group of people, quite a lot of experts in their own fields over there, which makes for very interesting conversations, and participate in the live classes that we have running. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, Cancer, you know what to do with that. So let's have a look and see what's going on with you, shall we? Can I have 3 cards for Cancer, please? Cancer. So the very first one that we have out is the King of Pentacles. That's Taurus energy. Current energy for Cancer is 10 of Cups and 4 of Cups. Oh, that's lovely, Cancer. And what's coming towards Cancer, please, for July? What does Cancer need to know? Oh, interesting. I feel a little bit like you're going off the beaten path, interestingly. There's a deviation that I can see going on here between these, between all of these cards that are on the table. It's like the King of Pentacles has got a plan. He knows the way that he's going and he knows why he's going there. But the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, rather than a lack of movement, which is how we could potentially, let me just get rid of this Norton antivirus thing that's just cropped up here. Rather than looking at it and saying, oh, well, there is no movement here, it feels like the movement is deviating from the standard path, almost like you've got an opportunity here to peel away and do something a little bit unorthodox, whilst still honouring the general trajectory of your plan, which is really quite interesting. Like I said, 9 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck there is lovely. It's a card of independence and good resource management. It's being resourceful and being kind of smart in the way that you're thinking around certainly solving problems and whatnot. Let's get some other cards out here. Tell me about the King of Pentacles, please. Why is this here? We have the Temperance card. Oh, I like that. King of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, and the Cancer. Loving this. I'll tidy all this up in a second. Tell me about the 10 of Cups and the 4 of Cups. Why is this here for Cancer? Thank you. We have the Knight of Wands, Sagittarius. Let's have a look here. We have the Hierophant, more Taurian energy. Very interesting. Oof. The Emperor and the Death card. Might Jupiter have just entered your sign, Cancer? I think maybe it might have done. Tell me about this Knight of Pentacles, please. We've got the King of Cups, Scorpio energy, and we've got the Queen of Wands. 2 of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. Ooh, and I just got the big goosebumps there. But the Wheel of Fortune is sitting behind it. This feels... Oh, I'm kind of impressed with this, Cancer. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised, because it's you, right? And you're a fucking magician and all that. But nevertheless, there's something really quite powerful emerging here. Now, in the first instance, do we talk about this now, or should we talk about this in a minute? I think we'll talk about it in a minute, actually. We'll talk about it as it's popping up. But the broad strokes of this reading are that there's something kind of visionary about... No, not visionary. Very, very practical. About the way that you are navigating what the future holds for you, in so much as it does feel to me that you've come up with something that feels like more or less a solid plan, right? This is the energy of the King of Pentacles at play. The King of Pentacles, although not usually given to be a visionary, has some sort of idea about where he would like to go, and he'll almost retro engineer the steps back from that point over there to where he is right here, so that he knows what steps he needs to take moving forwards in order to complete that plan, right? He's very resourceful, he's very practical, he's not particularly given to flights of fancy about anything. So I feel with the King of Pentacles there's always a sense that everything can be done, right? It might take money, it might take time, it might take a monumental investment of effort and energy, but everything is doable if you work hard enough for it, right? So not necessarily needing to be too much of an abstract visionary about anything. It's kind of seating it in the, well, it can be done. It just depends how much you want to throw at it, right? And I feel like there's something really quite solid and secure about the way that you're standing with whatever this plan is. It's like, no, it makes sense. It is doable. I only need to apply myself to it, and that's fine. We've got the Temperance card, Ace of Cups, and the World card here. And I think this position that you've taken is significant because at no point is there a sense of you holding yourself back. You know, we've been talking quite a lot just recently, Cancer, where we've been kind of touching back on things that we were talking around 2020, 2022, recovery from narcissistic abuse, you know, learning to put yourself first and do it in a healthy way that's not, selfish, but just, looking after number one to make you more effective at being able to serve the people that you care about, which ultimately is something that Cancer is very concerned with. But I do think that there is I made a video about Jupiter in Cancer, actually for the members, a few days ago. And there's a beauty of a planet that is free from obstacles. Which is how we think about Jupiter is ease. We think about things just kind of gliding around, having what you need when you need it. People with Jupiter in the second house generally don't seem to need to scratch too hard for money, right? If they need it, it's there, it's fine. It's an ever-present kind of resource that they can tap into. But what makes this planet of abundance and joviality and congeniality so powerful in the sign of Cancer is that Cancer is a sign that understands innately the importance of creating a space for something to grow. For me, like, Cancer is like the cosmic mother, right? You're fierce in your protection of those things that you love, those people that you love. And it's almost like the womb, right? The womb is there to grow the thing. And mothers pour everything that they have, then they're completely oblivious to this process, but it's happening anyway, into the womb, which then stretches and flexes as whatever they are nurturing begins to grow. Now, you take those two energies and you put them together. You put a planet that is concerned with growth and abundance and all these sorts of things into a cosmic womb, which will give and bend and flex to accommodate the changing needs of whatever it is that it is nurturing here. And you've got a very, very powerful combination. And whatever your plans are on the surface, there's something incredibly powerful that's happened underneath here. We see the Temperance card, we see the Ace of Cups, we see the World. The Temperance card is about balance, it's about equilibrium, it's about having a tempered approach to things, actually. But it's sitting on that line that we are able to stand on once we have been through very difficult circumstances, and then we have chosen to heal ourselves from those. You notice that the Temperance card is, quite literally pointing at the Ace of Cups here. The Ace of Cups being the sacred representation of the relationship that we have with ourselves, or perhaps the representation of the sacred relationship, rather, that we have with ourselves, which is the way by which we communicate with the higher, bigger cosmos, right? The God, source, creator, the universe, whatever your terminology is for it. I genuinely believe that it is through this relationship here that we experience our relationship with God or Source or the Creator or the universe. And this is how we can... Well, here's another thing, right? So that... Sorry to skip around on you a little bit, Cancer, but there's a train of thought that the reason why Sagittarius and Pisces are the most blessed of the signs, right, is because of their association to Jupiter, but it doesn't really stop there. It means that natives born under those signs have fewer of the obstacles, right? They perceive fewer of the obstacles than perhaps someone like myself who is born under had as Saturn as her chart ruler, right? There's a flow, there's an ebb and flow of the universe, and if you are, if you've got major Sagittarius placements, if you've got major Pisces placements, it's very easy for you to detect that, and it's much easier to get in alignment with that when you can work out where it is. It's quite difficult if you are always perceiving limitations and edges of things, such as Saturn ruled people do, right? It's always about the hard work and the graft. It's not about the, I'll just align and everything will work out, right? Which is much more Jupiterian. But there is also then a flow to Cancer in the same way, just as we're talking about the, the growth and the flexing and the flexibility and the accommodating. You've had no issue being accommodating over the course of your life, Cancer, but what you have had a difficulty doing is balancing the other side of that with your needs, what is right for you. So the fact that this Temperance card is saying you have found the middle road, you have found the temperate path between the needs of others and the needs of yourself, and in doing so you have honoured what is a very sacred relationship to you, and then opened up a line of communication between you and the cosmos, possibly, or more specifically, maybe what we've got going on here is that you have completed a cycle whereby there is any danger of you falling back into codependent ways of relating to others. I think with a good sense of self, it's very difficult to be codependent. Sorry, I'm going to get my scratchy wounds out here. So I just realised it probably looks a little bit better than these fucking plasters I've got over my knuckles. Accidentally grated my knuckles on the dog kennel last night because why not? I'm going to let a bit of air get to it, let it breathe. Both are applicable at the same time. There's the end of a major cycle, but there is also the opening up to a wider beneficial flow, like a sense that the universe is generative always, and if it's removing something, it's to make space for something new. There's a flow about you here, Cancer, that is really, really impressive, but there is also a substance about you. We see that here with the King of Pentacles, and it's like, I'm not prepared to live like this in the abstract. There needs to be some sort of material expression of this change in the way that I am feeling in here. And it could well be that you're just feeling simply a considerable amount more confident than you were before about your own abilities to affect change, to plan, to do something, to pull things off. We've talked a few times about how you're a magician, and I stand by that. So, 100% stand by that. But I think it's perhaps something that you've felt, and then it slipped away a little bit, and then you felt it again, and then it slipped away a little bit. This magician energy probably is unsustainable to hold as a constant archetypal force within your life. But the King of Pentacles is not an unsustainable expression. So if you've got all things in balance, you are now aligned with a flow that you did not see before. It stands to reason that it makes it much more easy for you than it might have been otherwise to go, actually, that's what I'm going to do. That's the plan that I've got, and I am confident in my abilities to be able to pay it off. See it through. The King of Pentacles does not doubt his own abilities when it comes to building something, And all of these fused together are putting you in very good standing, I think, in terms of just navigating through what is inherently fucking chaotic at this point. Like, things are so chaotic. If part of the job is to accept that you are a magician, but you cannot be a magician 99.9% of the time, or even 90% of the time, because it's a very powerful energy to have running through you all the time. It's like, well, no, you've been charged up and now you can do something with it, right? And it feels to me like you've got a plan. That's what you're going to do. When we come into your current energy, we're also seeing people around you, I think, becoming more important, which is quite interesting for you, Cancer. Less about the significance of the one-on-one relationships, although those are always going to be important to Cancer, right? But a kind of widening of your social sphere, perhaps a widening of your influence. And I love to see this this Four of Cups here for you. Now, generally speaking, the Four of Cups isn't a great card, and it's one that sort of stalked you a little bit over the years, because it can represent codependency, it can represent abandonment issues, it can represent all of the things that actually Cancer has been working through for quite a long time. But the presentation of this in this card here, the woman, you know, in this position, it's basically a stress position, right? But she's strong within it. And she's not just holding that position, she is also holding each of the cups. It's like, despite what went before, despite my upbringing, despite all the things that I experienced, I recognise that this has made me very strong. And the corollary of these two cards together is that you are being witnessed in your strength, you're being witnessed in your emotional endurance, but also your emotional development. I should just go with the word development here, right? The Ten of Cups is not just some people around you. It's not just your close friends, your close family, all that sort of thing. We see those things in the Two of Cups. We see them in the Three of Cups. The Ten of Cups is the wider environment within which you operate. So it could be the wider family environment, right? Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, like the cohesion of all of these people together into into a unified state. That would be the Ten of Cups. But it could also be your wider community. You know, if you're quite active in your community and you know everyone, you know, every time you walk down the street, there's 15 people that you can say hello to. You know, there's something of an elevation of status that seems to have happened here, where, oh, and that's quite interesting. Even if you look at these two cards like that, at the very least, you don't feel subordinate to or inferior to anyone, right? There is a level here where the Four of Cups is looking directly at the Ten of Cups, right? But more than that, it seems to be that the Ten of Cups is looking at you and saying, Cancer's something really special. You know, I feel seen when I'm around Cancer. I feel like Cancer understands. I feel like Cancer gets it. And it's giving you an authority that you didn't ask for, you didn't go looking for, but nevertheless exists. And it's a kind of soft authority, right? It's the one that comes from simply living a truth that is yours, living authentically, and not playing the game that everybody plays forever until they work out that they don't want a part of it anymore, right? We've got the Hierophant here, who is almost always a teacher. That's what he does. He decodes higher truths and he disseminates those to his acolytes, right? But it's like you've cracked something really important here in terms of the people around you. I think Cancers understand the importance of people, right? You understand the importance of nurturing people. And the way this looks here, it's almost like you're educating all of these cups here on how to be held, how to be balanced, how to be aligned, how to be able to keep the face soft, as she's doing here, but also pull off these incredible feats of emotional strength. Quite simply, you're starting to feel, to me, Cancer, like a bit of a pillar of the community, whether you recognise that or not, and increasingly being seen as a teacher, a leader, a guide in amongst that community too. Now, the Sun of Wands, or the Knight of Wands, as it is in a normal deck here, is Sagittarius energy. It's expansive, right? It's got a Jupiterian influence because it represents Sagittarius, but it's very much concerned with the now. Now. Jupiter and Sagittarius, they don't give too much thought to consequences of things, because why would they? They're very present beings. They're all about the here and now, and they have a faith and an optimism that whatever comes in the future, it'll be okay, it'll be over, it'll be fine. And I think the combination of this Sagittarian energy plus the strength and stability and solidity of the Hierophant, which, let's not forget, is also representing Taurus, is like, you're a magnet, Cancer. People are drawn towards you, and they want to drink from the well of Cancer. They want you to share what you know. They want your perspectives on things. Now, although Jupiter has now entered your sign, and that's a very, very good thing, at least initially. So this has been happening for quite a lot of June, and as we're moving into July, it'll be present there as well. I forgot to check what date this ceases. In entering Cancer, Jupiter came immediately into a square with Saturn and Neptune, actually, who are both sitting at the early degrees of Aries. Now, where we have a square, we have a point of tension. We have like an abrasion. We have a sort of rub that becomes really quite uncomfortable, and the net result of that is that what is required is some sort of movement, right? We've got to break this little deadlock here one way or another, and we have to shift. I do not think that the oh no, do I? So the Emperor here represents Aries. The Death card here represents Pluto or Scorpio. The Emperor is about structure, he's about order, he's about creating order out of chaos. He has a similar kind of presentation in some ways to the Hierophant, right? Both of them are figureheads in their own ways, and they also represent, things that, all being well, will last for a long time. But there's a bit more movement with the Emperor because he is represented by Aries, that says that, in the Waite-Smith version of the Emperor, what we see is a man who is sitting with all the finery you would expect an emperor to be wearing, but underneath he has his armour, right? And it's this idea of being a warrior in the garden, right? Which is much better than being a gardener in the war, right? The idea that the Emperor hasn't elevated to the status that he is at by nepotism or something like that. It's like he's had to fight for it, he's had to work for it, and at a moment's notice everything could change. And the Emperor's very aware of this, right? And this is why he's got this highly strategic mind. This is where it differs from the Hierophant, which is almost like a rigid creaking edifice of not moving. I'm staying exactly where I am, I'm fixed, I'm stubborn, I'm here, right? This is what makes Taurus and the energy of the Hierophant indicate good teaching, because it's keeping it simple, it's keeping it to a it's pitching it at the level that it can be received at, and Taurus is very, very good at breaking things down so that they can be understood like that, right? But if there was no kind of cohesion, if there was no kind of consistency about what a Hierophant was trying to teach, people would lose their way very, very quickly, and they'd be like, well, who is this? I can't deal with this, right? So that's where the difference happens between those two very masculine energies. But Saturn is here and Neptune is here, and that square to Jupiter is giving us the idea that something somewhere is going to have to give. There's going to have to be some movement. And whether it's in the Saturnian part of your, in the Aries part of your chart, or whether it's in the Cancer part of your chart, is a different matter. You'll have to look to your own personal chart to see what that is, right? Because you might be, you might be watching for a Cancer moon or a Cancer ascendant. Your sun could be on the other side of the, you might be sun in Aries, right? there's a either something about you has to change, or something about what you have built needs to change. Because the Death card is representing some sort of ending of sorts, but probably better described as a transformation. And he's looking at the Emperor. The Hierophant is looking at the Knight of Wands. And this feels, we've got this lightning strike in the background, and we've got all of this power emanating off the wand that the Knight of Wands is holding. And it feels like these two here kind of get each other. There's something very expansive about the wisdom that is contained here, and it has the quality of now. Whereas this, dead bird in the Death card is looking at the Emperor and saying, what you have built needs to change, it needs to transform. Now, because all of this is happening underneath here, it feels to me like it's putting you into a position of some authority, like I said before, where you are seeing things that need tweaking here and there, and whether these are people's individual emotional responses or whether it is a bigger picture aspect, I'm not entirely sure. It will probably be different for each of you. But the Death card doesn't want everything that's going on in Aries and to do with Aries to just stop, right? There is a disillusionment with it. There is a need to change with it. And like I said, you need to have a look in your chart to see what house Aries rules, because that will show you where the rub is, where the disillusionment might be showing up. The Death card is in fact saying to Aries and everything in Aries, we need to overhaul this. We need to do it differently. And you seem to be in this position of influence now, where people are actually listening to you. Now, I don't, like I said, this will be different for each of you. For some of you, you may already be in a position of community leadership. You might already recognise that you are in a position of influence. For others of you, it's probably a little bit more subtle, but people are listening to you. But some part of something ruled by Aries in your chart is asking for an overhaul. It's asking for a transformation. There's no problem with being strong and being rigid, as per the Hierophant and the Knight of Wands here. But I feel like the Knight of Wands is assisting the Hierophant in bringing everything into the present, into the here, into the now. Whereas the Hierophant ordinarily might not spend too much time thinking about that, more thinking about the past, and looking to the future to see who are the worthy ones to share this with. That's not a problem, right? Sag is working its expansive magic on that over here. But for some of you, is the issue actually leadership itself? I think it might be. Because the Emperor is a figurehead, just like the Hierophant is a figurehead. And I think in some ways you've been quite happy to be a shoulder for other people to lean on. I think you've been quite happy to be the ear that somebody, whispers all of their internal, issues into. I think it's been very, very low level with you, Cancer. But this is asking you to step up a little bit. Because I'm looking at the Emperor and I'm feeling like you feel like the Emperor is for other people. You feel like the leadership is for other people. And the Death card's saying, no, we're not ending whatever this is. We're transforming it. We're elevating it. We're making it run deep. We're making it very strong. Some of the most famous businessmen in the world are Cancers. Cancers are extremely shrewd, and they do make good leaders. They do make good CEOs because they care. And I think it's not a problem for you at all when you feel like you're, eye to eye. Maybe you're even just focusing on one person at a time. But there is a wider sphere of influence that you have. There are far more people listening to you than maybe you're comfortable with. And there's a radical expansion, a radical glow up here that requires you to accept that fact. Now I get it, that's quite it's concerning, because there's a great deal of responsibility that goes along with that, or perception of responsibility at least. Oh God, I'm responsible for all of these people. It isn't like that. It really isn't. Because there's something very true, very real and very authentic that has been emerging out of you for a long time, Cancer, but it's been very much focused on transforming your situation. And that was very necessary. But we're moving into a point now where you are being held to be an expert in all sorts of things. Not with pieces of paper and qualifications and all that kind of thing, but like Cancer gets it. Cancer's always got really good advice. Cancer helps me be a better version of myself, right? These sorts of things. And there's something about the allowing that to crystallize and allowing yourself to ease into it, to allow yourself to occupy that role. Because the thing I keep hearing in my head over and over again is like, oh, I couldn't do that, right? And I the Emperor is on the throne, and we're looking at his finery, and it's like, oh, he looks lovely in those robes, like. But it's the armour underneath. I couldn't wear the armour underneath and move around. Not really. Couldn't hold those two states. I think these cards are pushing us towards an idea that that's exactly what you can do. Now, you're only one of 2 signs in the entire zodiac that are naturally armoured. Oh yes, you might be soft and squidgy on the inside, but natural armour, hello. You know. And I wonder if it's the idea that you might have to put on robes over the top of that. I don't know. This is very... let me pull out another card here. Because I'm feeling some sort of resistance to this, where there isn't a resistance to this. Both of them masculine archetypes, both of them figureheads and leaders in their own right. And I wonder if it's because in the moment when somebody comes to you and they ask you something, or they pour out their heart to you, or they use you as a sounding board, like it's just a very natural response for you to give them this awesome knowledge that you have in your head. Help contextually reframe what they're experiencing, right? And that's how your reputation is building up. But there's something about allowing that to crystallize, right? And accepting that puts you somewhere very visible, where people will begin to seek you out, and you accept it and you embody that seems to be being rejected here. What about this Emperor? Right, so the Wheel of Fortune is showing up again. I will remind you that is not the first time it's shown up, because it's under there as well, right? So we've got the Wheel of Fortune, we've got the 5 of Swords, 6 of Cups and 10 of Swords. There is a big push here for you to relinquish past thinking that does not belong in the mind of Cancer now. Right, we've got wounding and hurt for sure with the 3 of Swords here, but the 5 of Swords is wonky thinking, and it's like all of the evidence is showing you something and yet you refuse to accept it. That's what the energy of the 5 of Swords is here for me, and why it's got a historical basis, right? It's some sort of aspect of the past. Here you are being presented with an opportunity to work more deeply with a lot of the themes that came out in the past cycle for you. Okay? This is all that it is. It's not actually trying to push you into a corner and make you be something that you're not. It's saying, well, all the evidence says you're exactly this thing. Are you going to stop resisting it, and are you going to accept it? 10 of Swords there feels beautiful in terms of winding up this cycle very, very quickly, or at least this aspect of the syllabus very, very quickly. Because once you see what it is that you're resisting, once you see, in fact, the resistance, it kind of goes off the boil a little bit. And what's very interesting about that is that it seems to be being brought in discreetly by Jupiter, again, saying, just have a little look at this, because we need to sort this out. This might well be where the friction with everything in Aries is going on for you right now, right? Have a look at that, sort it out, bring it to completion very quickly by understanding exactly what is being shown to you here. Deal with the blind spot that is being brought to your attention by by the situation of resistance to this. Allow it to transform, and then we get into July. We get into your birthday month. And what do we have? We have the Knight of Pentacles reversed. And like I said, I do not feel like this is the anchors being slammed onto whatever you've been trying to move forwards. Remember that we are also referencing something that's kind of been in your head over here with the King. Instead, what we have is a departure from a standard and obvious way of doing things that, having worked through all of these things here, you now feel empowered to take in a way that you didn't before. We've got the King of Cups. That's your king. It's a Scorpio king that is pointing to some sort of emotional glow up that's happening to you, right? We're leveling up again emotionally very, very quickly. In order to be emboldened to take the road less travelled. Now, what does this mean? I'm not sure off the top of my head, but we've got the Nine of Pentacles here, indicating that everything that you could possibly need for this work is here, it's present, and it's all at your disposal. The Nine of Pentacles for me is about good management of all of your resources, and this is your attention, it's your care, it's your energy, your love, your money, your focus. Like, all of these things have pentacle qualities to me. And in the 9, we're using them to the best of our ability in the right way. It says we can be independent. We don't need to search around for something else. Now, how interesting that we should be having these notions of independence coming up when we know we've already cracked a previous cycle of codependence. And in the best way that this happens, as always happens, because the work is never done, what we've got is a resurfacing of something else now that is saying, well, here's where the next little bit of work is. And dealing with that next little bit of work, resistance around the idea of authority and being an authority, we then have you emboldened to take a rather unorthodox approach to what happens next. Because you have faith in yourself for sure, but here we have the Queen of Wands, right? Now, the Queen of Wands is Aries energy. Again, it's something being pointed at to in the Aries field of, you know, being first, being innovative, being a pioneer, choosing to do something that is not entirely standard, because you are powerful enough, strong enough, wise enough, and masterful enough to be able to tread that road without fear. Like, this is very, very interesting, Cancer. Very interesting. And I think of all of the signs that I've read for so far this month, and I think you're number 9 of 12, I don't think I've seen this much major arcana come out for everybody else. Right, so the energy of Jupiter is very, very strong in your chart, and he is going to bring things up to the surface because these are things that he perceives to be obstacles to the flow. You deal with your resistance to the idea of being an authority, then what happens next, unorthodox as it may be, is all just part of the natural flow. It makes sense then from that point. We're not resisting it. We can in fact be a black swan and swim across the top of it. And we can embrace the Queen of Wands energy. We can embrace the Aries energy and see where it allows us to go. Now, I'm going to go to the extended now, and I'm going to be digging into these energies here. I'm also side-eyeing these Wheel of Fortunes because that feels very... it feels very pointed, that it should be showing up twice. So if you'd like to join me over there, you're very welcome to do so. We're gonna dig into what you need to know about this. Because this does mark some sort of turning point for you. I mean, we've got turning points that have happened all over, right? But we've got an adherence to the existing plan, but a very innovative way of approaching it, working through the issues that are associated with it. And this will amplify your visibility. There's no other way of looking at it. So unless you get good with that first, then what happens next would be a fucking disaster. You get good with this first, this all just flows. This just makes sense. So, like I said, if you would like to join me, you can do that on Circle. You can do that on Selfie. I'd be delighted to see you in either place. If neither of those things are your bag, that's absolutely fine. Trust and faith will take you a long way. And where you notice that there is resistance in your Cancer, that's where you need to lean into just briefly, because what's appearing here, I think, looks very, very good indeed. And we're going to get into it more in the extended. So know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.